African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation.
Black Americans cannot be deported.
Latinos have to be more delusional than J-Lo thinking she's really Selena to believe that black people can be deported in their own country and that black people are immigrants.
Are you people insane? What are you talking about?
You know why Black Americans can't be deported? Because they're not from Africa. They're not African Americans. We are not African Americans. We're not.
I'm so upset that Black people are saying that they're not a part of this fight. It's all of us, because some of us are getting deported too. Babes, we're Black American. Remember the same demographic that y'all said that we always want to be the main character and that we're so xenophobic because whenever we sit back and defend ourselves against people saying shit about us, we're those people.
The people you call Black Americans are not from Africa. We're from America.
But where do they send me? Nowhere. We are the only people that cannot be deported. And that's why America can't stand us, even though she's the reason she can't get rid of us.
Native Americans have a large literature. They have libraries full of literature on their culture, spirituality, sociology, way of life. Native Americans left a record of their civilization. You can read and study Native American civilization. The American African, although it was illegal for us to learn, although it was illegal for us to learn how to read, we left a vast literature of our experience in America. You can read our own words from the 17th century. You can read our own words from the 18th century. You can read our own words from the 19th century. You can read our own words from the 20th century. We have a vast catalog of literature. So let me say this to the pretendians. Y'all were here before we got here. Which I agree with. Which I agree with. Which I agree with. What I disagree with is when you say you didn't come from Africa. So please produce the literature of the pretendian nation. Show me the authentic literature of the pretendian people where they say they did not come from Africa. Can I please see that? Can I please see this large repository of pretendian literature that says they claimed they didn't come from Africa? Ain't nobody show me that yet. I ain't seen a piece of literature from a pretendian yet. Original manuscript from ancient America where black people claim they didn't come from Africa. Where is the pretendian literature? Where is the pretendian literature? Where is the pretendian literature? Pretend Indian, pretendian. Pretend Indian, pretendian. Pretend Indian, pretendian. Where is the literature?
A lot of people think that they know American history until they realize that they have been fed a lie. Lately, I've been seeing clips of Latinos who are genuinely shocked to learn that African Americans are not immigrant. That is right, not immigrant. But let's be real, this misunderstanding is deeper than just a few viral moments. It's a reflection of how erased African American history has been, even in the minds of other communities of color. In this video, I'll be reacting to some powerful clips from Black Americans themselves, people setting the record straight, talking about where they came from, how their families got in America, and what people keep getting wrong. You're gonna hear everything from African roots to native ancestry to the question, can you be African and American at the same time? Stick around because by the end of this video, some of your assumptions might be completely shattered. And as you're watching, remember that the full credits belong to the original creators of the following clips. Now, this video is for educational purposes. Let's get into it.
Ancient literature of the
Black Americans cannot be deported.
The birthright citizenship law, like Trump said, was made for the Black Americans, for the children of the enslaved people. That's how we got our citizenship. We are not immigrants. So what Trump is doing is all the immigrants that came and tried to take advantage of the birthright citizenship thing, which it wasn't for them. He's getting rid of it. He's attempting to get rid of it for that reason. But it doesn't affect us. If your ancestors been in this land for the last 400, 500 years, it doesn't affect us. So I don't know why everybody pushing this propaganda like, oh, we are not immigrants. Black Americans, aka African Americans, are not immigrants. You know, I try to stay out of other people's business. Me personally, I try to stay out of other people's business. I try to mind Black American, aka African American business. But please, with the scare tactic, trying to get Black Americans riled up, that doesn't affect us. So it's like, I'm sorry, but that's not our fight. You know, we are Americans. We are the original Americans. We are the people. Our ancestors are the people that fought in every war, that assisted in building this country. That's us. So if you came from another country or something like that, I feel for you, but you know, I'm on my business. But stop with the propaganda. Like, Americans cannot be deported.
Latinos have to be more delusional than J-Lo thinking she's really Selena to believe that black people can be deported in their own country and that black people are immigrants.
Are you people insane? What are you talking about?
Through my short tenure on this app, having conversations with people throughout the diaspora and people from around the world, it has come to my attention that many do believe that black people are actually immigrants in the country that we hail from. This is why we get hit with, where are you from? And when somebody says Georgia or New York or Detroit, they're like, no, where are your parents from? And I'm like, New York. They don't get it. And it's like, you arrived here as an immigrant and you think America is a white country. America has never been a white country. America has always been a multi-ethnic country in which white people have been the majority of, never been a white country. So you don't look at a black person or a native person and be like, oh, you're really American. That's just the reality of this country. We'll always say the only real Americans in this current iteration of America we have are white people, black people, and Native Americans, because those three people have been here since before the inception of America and during the creation of America. Everyone else came after. All the other European immigrants came through Ellis Island. The Italians, the Polish, the Jewish people, the Greeks, all of those people are later additions. We've been here since before all of them. So how can a black person be deported? I would implore you to actually know the history of the country you're living in or trying to occupy. And before you speak to someone who is actually a descendant of the people who have been here since the 1700s, do better. Do better. This is a sad attempt at you trying to force my hand to support Latinos because of what's happening right now. I do support everyone, but to say a comment like this is dumb because black people cannot be deported because we're from here. Now, can other black immigrants be deported? 1000%. I have family that can be deported because I have family from all around the world, but I'm American. But that's a different conversation in terms of identity politics and how Afro-Latinos or Caribbean or Africans identify in this current phase of America. Latinos are the ones that are being targeted right now. Asians are the ones being targeted right now. And Latino people have a history of anti-blackness and a history of colorism within their community. You guys are racist towards your own dark-skinned people, your own black people. So you have to stop looking to black people for like unwavering support, and then in the same sentence be like, well, you're next, or you're ghetto, or you're this. And it's like the underlying tones of racism and threats that you guys put in your messaging aren't helping your cause. They aren't helping your cause.
You know why Black Americans can't be deported? Because they're not from Africa. They're not African Americans. We are not African Americans. We're not. We can't be deported. This is our land. I mean, think about it. You do have Haitians that are being deported as we speak. You do have Jamaicans that are being deported as we speak, but they don't identify as Black. They identify as Haitians. They identify as Jamaicans. They identify as Africans. Okay. So yes, people with the same skin tone, yes, the same skin tone are being deported. But that's because they are not here from America legally. You get it now? You get it now? We are Americans. They literally erased our entire identity. They reclassified the indigenous people that were already on this land. That's why we can't be deported. Where are we going to go to? Where can we go?
Racist Latino community coming for Black Americans. Now we have other people in the diaspora talking about, but Black people are being deported too. What about us? We're not trying to be divisive, but I'm also remembering how many of y'all were sitting back saying that we were lazy, that we had no culture, we didn't know where we came from, and claiming things that are actually in our culture as your own. And I'm still not over the fact that a lot of y'all feel like Juneteenth, y'all should be celebrated too. So for y'all to sit in the comments and then co-sign on with that community that's being racist towards Black people, Black Americans especially, talking about, I'm so upset that the Black people are saying that they're not a part of this fight. It's all of us because some of us are getting deported too. Babes, we're Black American. Remember the same demographic that y'all said that we always want to be the main character and that we're so xenophobic because whenever we sit back and defend ourselves against people saying shit about us, we're those people. So please stop making Black Americans feel like they have to be fucking patriotic. Leave us the fuck alone. Remember, all the rest of y'all thought that y'all were the better imports. We were the old imports. We were here before America was America. Okay? And that is not a call for the pretendians. So, yeah. Leave us out of the whole conversation. If y'all want to team up because y'all can't stand Black Americans, then team the fuck up. But the law is the law because there's the civil law and then there's also the criminal law. And some of them have broken the civil and the criminal. And for the Latinos, when I say, but we did Black Lives Matter, number one, you saying that is very racist because that's negating that Afro-Latinos exist. So let's start there. And then on top of that, Black Lives Matter was about under the law. Things were not being done under the law. Under the law. The deportation is happening because that is the law. We, the Black people, the Black community, we were not getting justice served. The rules of the land, just like any other country, you have to have a visa or citizenship to stay here for years. For years. So comparing it and saying that y'all fought with a student Black Lives Matter, number one, the numbers weren't numbering. Okay. And number two, that's negating the fact that y'all have Black people in your community. So it still goes back to you being racist. Because we were fighting for things that were actually due to us called due process. Maybe if you learned the rules of the land, you would know what due process means. And that's exactly what Black Lives Matter was fighting for us to actually have due process if somebody broke the law or if they didn't break the law and they were unjustly by the police. You being deported because you don't have proper documentation is just what's not clicking.
The people you call Black Americans are not from Africa.
Okay.
We're from America.
I mean, if that's how you want it.
First of all, I'm about to bust that dry bubble that y'all got thinking that everything and everybody comes from Africa. How can humanity come from Africa when all of Africa's food comes from the rest of the world? Your biggest cash crops, cocoa and cassava, both come from America.
actually love that you brought that up because I can finally talk about Africa before slavery. Because yes, we did exist before slavery. And Africa, especially West African countries, had peaceful trade with South America at that time. That's why you can find cassava and stuff like that in cultural food in West African countries. Because West African countries discovered America way before Europe did, way before. And there's actually a really interesting interview from Dr. Ivan van Santima, which is from the 80s, I think. It's on YouTube, where he talks about how advantaged Africans were and their travels to South America, their trade and stuff like that, and how much Europe did to try cover that up because they were embarrassed about how advantaged Africans were. So thank you for bringing it up. That's actually, I appreciate that.
Check yourself.
Checked.
So y'all trying to claim that we come from y'all, when in actuality, some of the people in Africa come from us. Y'all never heard about Liberia?
Okay, now I'm generally a little bit confused because even when we go off of your point of saying Black Americans are not Africans, Liberia would still exist as a country, maybe with a different name, without Black Americans, because it was never an empty piece of land. There were people living there before, and it actually caused a lot of difficult dynamics and even wars when they sent back Black Americans. So yeah, just saying that they would exist without Black Americans still.
Yeah. And y'all love to say that we ain't got no culture and we don't know who we are.
I totally agree on that because even I grew up learning that Americans have no culture. That was never just about Black Americans, that was about Americans. And it took me a time to actually overthink what I've been hearing my whole life because it's simply not true. You have your own culture. Do I say, or would I say you are the blueprint? Absolutely not. I would never agree to that. But will I say you have a big impact? Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm freaking proud of y'all for doing that. So yes, we should work on that, and we should definitely give Black Americans their roses because they be working hard. Shit, yeah.
So who are you to even open your mouth and try to tell us who we are?
Honestly, especially in this time, no one can tell you who you are. If you want to be a tree, be a tree. If you want to be a cat, be a cat. And if you don't want to be African, don't be African. And this might sound sarcastic, but I don't mean it in that way. Like, seriously, if you don't want to be African, that's it. And I think Africans, or we in general, got to stop telling them who to be. If they want to not be African, that's fine. I'm totally fine with us being friends. I don't need to be your blood, and I don't need us to have the same roots for us to get along. Can we just stop fighting?
So I got this comment. They may not deport you, but they sure can incarcerate you. Let's talk about it. Y'all say stuff like this in your necks as if it's a reason for us to show up. Even despite the fact that y'all don't listen to us and you regularly ignore our pain and the issues that we face every day. Black people live in a police state. We are targeted through mass incarceration, over-policing, and racial profiling. The main crux of this issue is really about due process. Immigrants are not getting their due process, like their day in court, before they're deported. But that's been a reality for Black people for generations and generations. So let's talk about some examples. Khalif Browder was held in Rikers for 3 years for allegedly stealing a backpack. He was held mostly in solitary confinement and never convicted. When he got out, he dealt with so much mental health issues that he eventually succeeded in unaliving himself in 2015. A year later, his mama died from a heart attack, and I would say grief. That's how much it affects our families. Like, we lose family members after losing. Breonna Taylor was shot in her own home. She was asleep. I believe she died on the floor. All behind a no-knock warrant and a man that had allegedly already been taken into custody. Where was her due process? Tamir Rice, 12 years old, playing with a toy gun in a park. Shot within seconds of police arriving on scene. Where was his due process? Y'all say this stuff with no education and no awareness of reality or Black people's reality so freely. I would also like to point out that this is manipulative and it is abusive in nature. Y'all want solidarity, but you weaponize fear to try to guilt us. That's unacceptable. It's wild to believe that Black people are expected to show up, organize protests, put their bodies on the line, while y'all actively deny, excuse, dismiss everything that we talk about that happens with us. Or it's just met with silence. If you were going to be good allies, you would have listened when we told you that we were tired and that we were traumatized. But instead, you choose to do stuff like this and your next comments. That's how we know that you don't listen to us and you don't respect us. You don't respect anything that we have to offer anyway. Black people make up 13% of the population, but about 38% of the prison population, while also representing between 50 and 54% of the exonerations, which speaks to that over-policing and charging people, charges that are not accurate. Black men are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than white men. Black people are 3 times more likely to be in a police encounter. And like Khalif Browder earlier, black people also are black defendants also are denied bail and regularly get higher bail amounts for the same charges that white people get. Black people don't have to be the backbone of every movement. We should be allowed to rest. We have the right to rest. We have the right to heal. And we have the right to say, not this time, and still be respected. So don't threaten us with violence that we see every day. I'm going to link some stuff in some comments because I feel like some of y'all need to read something, even though I'm sure this particular person won't read nothing.
I scrolled past a post where this lady was like, there are actually black people getting deported. Like, black people are actually actively getting deported. And she was like dead ass serious. And she's like, so this really truly is our fight. Like this, like we're supposed to be together in this. And I can't help but think, what type of black people are you talking about here? Because I'm thinking that you're not talking about my type of black people, my lineage, which would be like the FBA, descendants of the slave trade type black people. I'm thinking that you're talking about some type of diaspora black people. And I hate to say it like this, but as a FBA, we don't really care that much about them. A lot of, okay, and let me not say that to be mean or disrespectful or rude or anything like that. It's not that we're not cool, right? It's just that we don't look at other people who identify themselves as black people who are not from here as like brothers and sisters. And the reason why is because 99.99% of the time when they're coming over here, they're looking down on us, they're talking down on us, they're thinking that they're better than us, they're telling that they're going back to their countries and to their own folks, and they're saying how we're all black FBA people are lazy and how we don't want to work and how we all live off of government assistance and how they're better than us and how they're collectively doing better than us. And it's always some type of negative comparison that they have to make towards us. So why would I give a damn about you at all? Like, you don't respect me, so why should I respect you or give a damn what the hell happens to you? I do not care. Not my brothers and my sisters if you're talking shit about me. Like, this is not even to be divisive because, to be honest with you, Black Americans were always like pro Pan-Africanists all like throughout our time, like throughout history. Like, we always been like pro Black, like wanting to help Black immigrants and just wanting, to really build up a Black community and a Black diaspora and actually feel connected to other parts of the black diaspora, right? But it seems like when people other blacks started migrating over here, it almost seemed like they almost kind of like felt intimidated or threatened by our presence and wanted to like replace us. And so felt like in order, to do that, like they had to discredit us, disrespect us, and try to associate themselves with, the others. So.
But what I do need the African immigrant brother and sister to understand, America will give you opportunity that she will never give me because you are not a threat. You can be 100%. Deported whenever they feel like it. True. You can be stripped of your American citizenship or your green card whenever they feel like it. They can strip me of my citizenship, but where do they send me? Nowhere. We are the only people that cannot be deported. And that's why America can't stand us, even though she's the reason she can't get rid of us.
Black Americans, listen, please stop referring to yourself as African American. That Pan-Africanism, that whole movement to unify Black Americans with Africans, listen, that's a hoax. They want a destiny swap with us. They want to take our culture and our dollars and take it back to Africa. You see what they did with the Essence Festival. If y'all keep feeding into this narrative that we are all the same, they are brothers and sisters, what's going to end up happening is when it comes time for reparation for what our ancestors went through, not theirs, the ones that they sold, not theirs, what's going to happen is they're going to send Black America's reparations over to Africa. And they are not our friends, they are not our allies, and I hope y'all can realize this and wake up.
Why are you not African? You're just only American?
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay, explain.
So my most recent descendants are literally from Central America and North America, Indigenous Black Americans. They have the same color, the same melanin content, but they are not from Africa. I can't name any country in Africa. What I'm saying is that if I take a test right now, I could say some Italian, some German, some Australian up in there, 13% Ghanaian, 19% Nigerian, like who knows and who cares? But what I'm saying is that my immediate ancestors are American. Oh, yeah. Mine.
Are they Black?
They're Black, but they're not African. So different. The whole thing about African booty scratchers and even why Black Americans have been called African booty scratchers is because the white people have classified us all as coming from Africa because we're all Black. And that's where the whole falsified information has come, where we all come from the Atlantic slave trade and all the Black people were just shipped here to this country and all over. That's not true. We were already here. We were already here lining up every part of the world.
But if what you're saying is true, then you are more Hispanic or Asian than you are Black, because before the transatlantic slave trade, there was what they call Paleo Indian, which those individuals.
No, and once again, you're misinformed, and that's that's nice.
I'm not saying that's the only people that were here, but they have
not.
Paleo Indians, which the Aztec came from, which the Aztec, the Inca, those tribes came from what is called Asia to some extent.
What I'm saying is that with the transatlantic Atlantic slave trade, you've been misinformed to think that there were only, paleo, white colored Indians essentially that were here. That's not true. There were Black people here, or as people say, the Moors or whatever you want to call it. There were Black people here indigenously, like they were across the whole world.
They are reclassifying us right in our faces, and you guys are conforming to it instantly, because all I keep hearing now is foundational Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. If you don't understand that is a reclassification, and pretty soon you're going to start seeing it on papers, FBA, foundational Black American, baby. You are reclassifying yourself. They don't have to do much because you are reclassifying yourself as an Indigenous American when they reclassified you as freedman, mulatto, Indian, Black, Negro, colored, African American. And now here you are playing into this thing of the foundational Black American. I can't believe this shit. And it ain't even on paper yet. And y'all are reclassifying us.
African Americans are starting to act like white people, specifically being xenophobic and this grudge we have against other Black immigrants. I understand this coming out of frustration and fear of being displaced, but we are not going anywhere. And clapping for somebody else does not dim our shine. We have been and will probably continue to be the dominant or majority group, Black group in this country for years to come. And oftentimes other Black immigrants tend to assimilate into our culture by the second generation. So the discourse about there not being enough Black American representation in New York or in the beauty industry is irrelevant. Remember, it was our hard work, our progression that even allowed for not just Black immigrants, but all immigrants to be able to come here and find even a smidge of the success that they do. So when you see a Nigerian influencer, a Haitian influencer, big up her, but also remember to big up us too, because we still here.
I noticed something with this deportation thing. I just couldn't figure it out. I said it in my video, but I just never thought about it. These people keep saying we're going to get deported, we're going to get deported, we're going to get deported. They projecting because we the only people that didn't immigrate here. We didn't migrate here. We not refugees to come over here. We not in the immigration system. We didn't have to pledge allegiance and denounce another country just to live here. We didn't do none of that. We not anchor babies. Our parents didn't come over here, didn't had us here. None of that. But they have. They have. And they hate that. They jealous of that. They jealous of that. Because number one, they thought they were going to be our replacement. They was working on it. I ain't gonna lie, they were working real hard to be our replacement. Then number two, they came over here to colonize us. But when they found out that Trump made it a way where we are emancipated people, we are children of slaves, we can't be deported. They hate that and that bothers them. That jealousy and envy bothers them because they already come over here with jealousy. They already come over here with envy. But now they see we can't go nowhere. Now they want us to be scared with them. They want us to be scared of if we see an unmarked car drive past our house. They want our heart to be beating fast, you know what I mean? When we go to restaurants and we see ICE come take somebody, they want us to be scared with them. And we just out here popping fans, you know what I'm saying? Where them fans at? We just popping fans, having fun, enjoying life, talking, trying to get our money right, trying to see what's gonna happen in the future. We ain't even thinking about ICE. We're not even thinking about being deported like they is. They want us to be scared like them. They want us to be worried like them. You get what I'm saying? That, and I'm like, damn, bro, like they really are jealous of us. Not just the Africans and Caribbeans, the Mexicans are jealous of us. Because they mad because they not part of the 14th Amendment. They not. There's a lot of white people not part of the 14th Amendment either. They jealous of that, bro. We can trace our family to the 1700s. Some people can go far back than that. And they don't like it. And they jealous of it. And they hate it. I know it burns them up. Like all the contempt, all the anti-blackness they say about us, the rhetoric, the stereotypes, all that stuff they spew. And that one thing they can't get is the citizenship like we have. We emancipated people and they hate that. Ooh, they hate that. That burns them up. That's why they doing these scare tactics on us. That's why they doing all these things, because they want us to be fearful, just like them, of being deported.
Listen, the illegal deportation of immigrants is actually a Black American issue. And let me tell you exactly why. Because they have birthright citizenship. And do you know where birthright citizenship comes from? It comes from the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was specifically ratified to give formerly enslaved people all the equal protection under the law, meaning that a former slave has all the same rights that anybody else in America has. It's the foundation for all the rights we enjoy as Black Americans, right? Because without that foundation, we were treated like second-class citizens. We're treated like second-class citizens as it is, but we have legal recourse because of the 14th Amendment. So if they are attacking that amendment, if they are ignoring what that amendment says, guess who they are coming for next? Guess who they are coming for next? I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but we are in a cultural civil war. And we don't have time to say that is their issue. No, it's our issue. In fact, it's everybody's issue. This has a specific impact on Black Americans, again, because the 14th Amendment is the foundation for all the rights we enjoy as American citizens. But if they come for that, they can come for anything. We can't let this continue to happen. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what ethnicity you are. I don't care what your Republican or your political leaning is, I should say. This is your issue.
And Donald Trump understands this. He understands. So all of you immigrants who believe that Black people can be in some kind of way deported, you need to read the Constitution. You have to understand that Black and YT people will not be deported in this country. There are some Native Americans being deported. Did you know that? There's some Native Americans that are being deported before us. Because they're not in the Constitution. They're not in the Constitution. We are the only people that they cannot touch like this. And y'all fail to understand this. And now I understand why there's so much hurt and so much pain and so much divide, so much angry people.
A growing number of Latinos have been shocked to learn that Black Americans are not immigrants. Some of them even think that Black Americans came to the US just like everyone else through voluntary migration. But that is simply not true. This video is not about causing division. It's about setting the record straight. It's about the history, identity, truth and connection, especially the connection between Black Americans and Africa. Let's make one thing clear right off the bat. Black Americans are not immigrants, period. Immigrants are people who choose to leave their countries in search of better opportunities. African Americans didn't choose to go to the US. They were taken to America by force during one of the most inhumane events in the history, the transatlantic slave trade. Some Black Americans have family lines that has been in America since the 1600s. They didn't arrive in America. America arrived around them on their backs using their labor. When you call them immigrants, you erase that pain. You erase that history. Now, let's be fair. Why are some Latinos, especially young ones, so confused about this? Well, part of this is a lack of education, not just in school, but in the media. Another part is that when they see a Black person in the US, they automatically assume, oh, they must be from Africa. The same way they may assume that a Spanish speaker is from Mexico or from Colombia. But there is a major differences between Black Americans and African immigrants from places like Nigeria or Ghana. The culture, the history, the accent, even the experiences in America. It's not the same. So yes, there are Black immigrants in the US. But that is not the same as being a Black American whose ancestors were enslaved and whose blood is tied to the soil of America for centuries. The majority of Black Americans came from West Africa, places like Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, Gambia, and Angola. These were the regions mostly heavily targeted during transatlantic slave trade. Men, women, and children, mostly the healthy ones, were captured, chained, and shipped across the Atlantic like cargo. Those who survived the journey were forced into slavery on plantations in the Caribbean and the Americas. They weren't immigrants, they were survivors. And the descendants of these survivors are what we now call Black Americans or African Americans. They may have lost their language, their direct tribal ties, and their homeland, but they didn't lose their spirit, and they didn't lose their origin. Now, here is where things get controversial. Some Black Americans believe that Africans were in America before Columbus, and there are some theories, stories, and even some pieces of evidence that support that idea that West Africans might have made voyages to Americas before 1492. You've probably heard the name Mansa Musa Abubakar II, the Malian king who allegedly sailed west across the Atlantic with hundreds of ships in the 1300s. There are also records of Native American groups with African-looking features and some ancient artifacts that resemble West African designs. So, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Is it likely that some Africans arrived in America before Columbus? Maybe. But does that mean that most Black Americans today are from those pre-Columbus Africans? Not at all. We can acknowledge the possibility without rewriting the history. Another part of the confusion is the belief by some Black Americans that they are actually Native Americans. Now, here is the thing. Some are. There are documented cases where African and Native American people intermarried, especially in places like the Southeast. The Seminole tribe, for example, had a lot of African members. But this doesn't mean that most Black Americans are Native. The majority still came from enslaved West Africans. That's where the data, the DNA test, and the historical records point. It's okay for Black Americans to honor Native ancestry, but they should not completely disconnect from Africa in the process. because denying your African origin doesn't make your American identity stronger. It just erases your history. Here is the truth that some people don't want to hear. Black Americans are African in origin. That is not an insult. That is not a lie. That is a historical fact. Yes, your ancestors may have been in America for centuries. Yes, you are American, but your roots, your spiritual and genetic blueprint is African. The lead theme in your music, the seasoning in your food, the soul in your storytelling, there is African energy. Don't let colonization convince you that African is something to be ashamed of. Africa is not just about poverty or struggle. It's about kingdoms, wisdom, power, and resilience. Let me remind you, Black Americans are not just a part of America. They are foundational to America. They built the South, they fueled the economy, they fought in every American war. There is no America without Black Americans. So no, they are not immigrants. They are the bloodline of the land. If anyone doubts it, tell them to check the contributions, not just the census. Now, I want to speak directly to my Latino brothers and sisters. Many of you went to America to escape hardship and find opportunity, and I respect that. But don't compare your journey to that one of Black Americans. You may be immigrants. Black Americans are the descendants of people who were kidnapped and enslaved. If you are going to be in America, learn America's history, all of it, and that includes Black part, because Black history is American history. And to my Black American family, don't let anyone tell you that you don't belong. Don't let anyone rewrite your history. You're not immigrants, you're not outsiders, you're not borrowed, you are the spine of America. And yes, you come from Africa, that connection doesn't make you less American. It makes you more powerful. You have two identities, the strength of Africa and the soul of America. Let's stop arguing over the labels and start learning the truth. Black Americans are not immigrants. They are the people with roots in Africa, branches in America, and fruits that have nourished the entire world. Let's teach that. Let's spread that. And let's walk in the truth with pride and purpose. Thank you all for watching. If you learned something new, share this with someone else who needs to hear this. And also, if you want to support me, make sure you join my membership down there in the description. I will put there the link. And you can also consider watching these other two videos that talk about the history of Black Americans in America. And that was it for today. Mr. TA signing off. Ciao.